I think in a way, when you change a physical place, it can alter memory, but there's elements of the memory that stay the same, or it kind of makes you think of the memory in such a way that it was different. It makes you think of the memory almost differently. I definitely could see Mount Sales as kind of a vortex of memory because it's been an institution in the community for so long. We're actually registered on the National Historical Landmarks for Baltimore. Many people in the community, I think, have memories of Mount Sales, even if they didn't attend here. I absolutely think that there's been such a broad spectrum of memories that have happened that it could serve as a vortex for different people. Also, just the community of Baltimore and how we've been present in the community since 1852.
Mount Sales is a academy for girls, so it's an all-girls school, and back when it was opened in 1852, it was a cloistered convent just for women in the Visitation Order, and then they ended up opening it up as a boarding school, and so the girls would live here, they would sleep here, eat here, and go to school here. And then they ended up making it an academy, and the sisters then they closed it as a convent. So right now we are in my office, and it has the two windows there and the one door, and so this would have actually been one of the rooms that was used back when it was a convent. This would have been one of the rooms that they slept in. So you can kind of see the size of what this room is. And so all of the classrooms have a bit of history with them, which is really, I think, unique experience for a school. So a lot of the classrooms, they have 3 windows and 3 doors because they used to be 3 different rooms, 3 different dormitories.
Alumni Hall is one of my favorite buildings on campus. It was built shortly after the 1852 building, which is the main school building, and it was designed to be the infirmary when this was a boarding school so that girls with contagious diseases would come kind of recoup and rehabilitate over in what we now call Alumni Hall, but it was the infirmary. And there actually used to be a covered walkway that connected the main building to the infirmary, going from the music hall to Alumni Hall. And if you look at the bricks and the facade outside, you can see where the structure used to be before it was torn down. After the 1920s, 1930s, it started to kind of fall into disrepair. When the gym was being built in 1999, they were kind of clearing out an area that was wooded for the gym, and they saw this building, the old infirmary, and so we either need to remove it or renovate it. It was kind of an eyesore on campus, covered in vines. The windows were boarded up. Sister Philip Joseph, who was then the director of Academy Advancement, decided that they wanted to restore it to make office spaces for faculty and staff here on campus.
Coming to Mount Sales was kind of a tradition in my family, so I didn't have much of a choice whether or not to come here. My mom came here, my sister came here, my cousins have been here. There was definitely something special about, walking through the halls here and knowing that I was a part of just the history of my family.
When alums come back to Mount Sales and they'll see the physical restorations to the building and how it was so different than from when they were here, and I think that in a way it alters their memory, but it also kind of preserves a memory that only they have, that I can't tap into and that you can't tap into, and that not anybody who comes back to see the school now doesn't have the same memory as those alums did of what the school was like when they were here.
There have been changes to the building since I attended here as a student. There's a lot of sentimentality with some of the things that end up changing. Like, for example, there used to be this bathroom on the 2nd floor that was one of the creepiest places I could imagine, because it was this old room with like holes in the ceiling, holes in the wall, and they were sitting on this toilet. They were like, I think this was here in the 1800s. It kind of became nostalgic. It was a part of being here, like knowing this was this very old historical bathroom, which is no longer in use, and they renovated the bathrooms and made them usable and not sketchy. But it took a little bit of that historical significance. So they've made a lot of changes, but they try to preserve the history that is here.
Occasionally if I see something that's different, like that first floor, they're restoring the 1852 hardwood floors. When I was a student, it was green carpeting. But since it's just been restored last year, I was working when the restoration happened, so I kind of watched the transition happen. It didn't affect my memory necessarily in a negative way, but I remember it differently. I'm doing these series of visits called Decade Days, where we invite alums from each decade to come back and have a breakfast and a tour of the school. So we've done the 50s, 60s, and 70s in succession. I love the stories. There's two women actually who are twins, and they graduated in '64. And they always, every time they come back, they'll always laugh about this memory, and I feel almost like I can share in the memory because they share, every time they come back, they're like, I remember exactly where it happened. Sister Ignatia Pete, she was a visitation nun at the time, was gathering trunks down from the 4th floor with costumes in it for a theater class that they were doing, and when they opened a trunk, a bat flew out, and they say that they'll never forget that memory, and they always laugh and say, we know exactly where it happened. It's funny to see how they share their memories, and I have my own from when I was an alum here, and it just goes to show you that even if you graduated in the 50s or 60s, or in 2007, like I did, girls are the same no matter what generation it is, and so I can relate to their memories even though I wasn't present for them.
Graduation, we all wear white gowns and we carry a dozen red roses and we walk through the windows of the music hall as kind of this symbol of moving on into the next phase of our life.
Any woman who's walked through the windows at Mount de Sales can relate to being educated in the tradition of St. Francis de Sales, no matter what year that she graduated. And I would say that's a collective memory that all alumni have.
I try and teach the girls that you are a part of history, and that you really do make a difference, and you're a part of these traditions that have been, passed on from generation to generation. And I want them to take ownership of that, and to realize that what you do really does make a difference, and that you're a part of something great being here at Mount de Sales. The stairs, when you walk up and down the stairs, you can see the imprints from, the years and years of history that the girls have walked up and down these stairs. They've renovated most of the floors except for the 4th floor. So the 4th floor of the building has not really been touched. It's kind of just used for storage right now. So, all the students like to go up there and look around because you can find all kinds of crazy antiques and artifacts and old files and pictures and things like that.
Everything about this building and this environment at Mount de Sales triggers memories, and definitely parts of the building such as the 4th floor. You can see the different rooms that if you paid a little bit more for tuition, you had a private room. I would love to know who lived in that room. What was her favorite, comic strip, or what made her laugh?
There's kind of this rite of passage with the 4th floor as well, so students like to go up there and sign their names in paint, and so the walls are covered with signatures from students from all of the years past. There's talk of renovating the 4th floor, and so, as being an alum here, it definitely holds this nostalgic that I really don't, I don't want them to renovate it because it's that, our fingerprints all over the walls.